Yakuza games do two things very well: grab you with dramatic stories and over-the-top characters, and make you laugh with oddball side missions that knowingly lean into their absurdity. The latest game, Yakuza Kiwami, is no exception. It's gripping and funny, juvenile at times and self-reflexive at others. It's a difficult game to categorize, but its infectious free spirit is immediately uplifting and identifiable. Some people got their first taste of Yakuza when it debuted in 2005, and for them, Kiwami is a remake of the game that started it all. It is, for the most part, a straightforward recreation of the first Yakuza game. There have been minor adjustments made to account for the current state of the series' extended narrative and contemporary combat systems, but it's largely a faithful adaptation where it counts. For other people, Kiwami is the follow-up to Yakuza 0, the prequel that arrived earlier this year. Barring the Japanese-exclusive samurai-themed spin-off Yakuza Ishin, Yakuza 0 was the first in the series' current timeline, and the first Yakuza game on PlayStation 4, making it the perfect starting point for newcomers. Kiwami is a natural sequel for recent Yakuza inductees, despite its 2005 DNA. You travel the same streets of CD Kamuracho, a play on Tokyo's red light district, Kabukicho. Chivalrous Yakuza soldier Kazuma Kiryu remains in the spotlight, and though the world around him has gone through some slight changes, he's still the same old suited gangster with a furrowed brow, a heart of gold, and fists of fury. The game's 13 chapters follow a familiar pattern, presenting a self-contained mini-conflict that plays into the bigger picture with opportunities to explore the city between cutscenes. Kiwami generously provides waypoints for your next major objective, so you always feel comfortable setting main missions aside as they are easily picked back up again. But when you do, Kamuracho's footprint is rather modest compared to contemporary open worlds, meaning you're repeatedly sent to the same few locations over and over again. At some point, you grow weary of running to one corner of the map, knowing full well that whomever awaits is just going to direct you elsewhere after the briefest of conversations. It doesn't help that you're frequently interrupted with combat encounters along the way. Fights on the streets of Kamuracho play out in an outdated beat-em-up format, where stiff controls and swarms of enemies lead to frequent battles of attrition. And despite offering an impressive amount of character progression, which includes earning extremely violent takedowns, as well as strategic maneuvers for your various fighting styles, Kiwami's battles remain consistently underwhelming after the initial joys of brutalizing street toughs wears off. Though you don't get to control Zero's standout character, Goro Majima, he is still a prominent part of the overall experience. Goro delights himself in picking fights with you to satisfy his own masochism, and to help you regain atrophied skills after a stint in prison that occurs early on in Kiwami. Along with wonderfully weird side quests that pop up as you explore Kamuracho, these surprise events give exploration a sense of purpose. Kiwami's primary story is heavy, defined by murder and betrayal, and while it can be wholly captivating, the game's lighter pursuits provide necessary catharsis from your life of crime. Beyond its lighthearted sub-stories, Kiwami also offers a host of minigames that can take hours to master. Many of these, such as darts and mahjong, are straightforward and traditional experiences, and closely mirror Zero's renditions. Others, such as bikini-clad women cosplaying as Bug's fighting game, are, well, essentially there for titillation, opting to be sexy rather than challenging. In this regard, Kiwami offers plenty of adult pursuits that aren't shy about leaning into the game's pervasive machismo. This same lack of restraint can also be credited with Yakuza's more prominent qualities. Cutscenes are often hyper-emotional exchanges backed by impassioned Japanese voice acting that, despite the language barrier, strike a chord. Likewise, Kiryu's finishing moves in combat display a fair amount of creative delight in the unusual ways that Kiryu is able to take advantage of the environment and nearby props turned weapons. These don't always turn a boring fight into an exciting one, but creative violence, along with far-out humor and sexy distractions, is part of the reason Yakuza games are uniquely exhilarating, despite the presence of obvious flaws. Kiwami does a great job both as a remake of the original Yakuza game and as a sequel to Zero. Despite that combat remains more of a bump in the road than a rewarding pursuit, the game is still a no-brainer for existing fans in the series, and shouldn't be overlooked by newcomers, even if Zero passed them by. There's nothing else quite like Yakuza, and Kiwami isn't afraid to show it.